Hey, Disturbing listeners, Love is Blind, the reunion, live on Netflix. Let's watch.
I know. Look at this.
Look at, she's on a date with Paul. Look at her little things. She's on a date with Paul.
Like, that's actually really funny.
Looks boring.
Oh, Mardi Gras.
Yeah, so, wow, they're really going for it with Micah in the room here. They're showing some pretty awful scenes. I'm really curious what Micah says. I'm guessing we'll get some apology, but not as much as we would hope for, at least I would hope for. So we just saw a scene where Amber is talking about, yay, Paul and me, da-da-da, and now they're doing their typical thing.
Look at this.
Look at, she's on a date with Paul. Look at her little things. She's on a date with Paul.
Like, that's actually really funny.
Looks boring.
Look at her little things. Looks boring. Wow.
Oh, Mardi Gras was what I picked for his date, and
wait, that's so you? That's cute.
And then to her face, she smiles. To Amber's face, she smiles. And yeah, wow. This is reminding me. I recently went back and watched a few scenes, and I was like, oh yeah, because what we saw later from Micah and Irina was just so different, and I had forgotten how bad it was. I really had. And seeing this again, it's hard to watch. It's so hard to watch.
What I picked for his date, and
wait, that's so you? That's cute.
Oh, wait, did they passive-aggressively make a joke that's so you? Who said that? Was that Micah?
oh, Mardi Gras was what I picked for his date, and
wait, that's so you? That's cute.
Now, we can't tell who said that's so you, but one of them, I think, said that's so cute. And then I think Amber knows that the two of them are laughing at her. I mean, my God.
Why does a Mardi Gras like sound like something they would do together? I don't know why.
Mardi Gras?
Loser.
Oh my God. I mean, if you wrote a movie with these characters, I'd be like, come on. Now, I know some of you will say that, well, I heard a few things from people. One was that people would say that they had been bullied by people like this. So, and those comments I absolutely understand and believe. And there was another set of comments of people saying like, well, this is how most or all girls are in middle school, in high school. And that I don't find to be true. I know a lot of kids of various different genders, and for a time in my career, I worked with a lot of younger people as a therapist, and I was a young person at one point. I do know one person from my childhood that was definitely like this in this quintessential way. But anyway, so either way, regardless of the prevalence of this in high school and middle school, it's still atrocious. It is so over the top. It is so horrible. It is so immoral. It is so immature. It is so vindictive and hostile. It is so mean. It is so awful. It's one thing to be immature and to attack people. It's another thing. It's, you know, usually when we're attacking people and being hostile, we're triggered. You know, there's something's happening. We're like, well, you're a jerk face too. This is not that. They're sitting there just doing what everyone else is doing calmly and choosing calmly to participate in this conversation with their microphones on. And I don't think they're trying to hide it. I think they're actually trying to be seen. They're not masking it. I think Amber actually is seeing what they're doing.
That's not what he wanted, and that's okay, but I'm just like, you know, you could have been a little bit more forthcoming about where you were at instead of just telling me what I wanted to hear, because now I feel like a fucking...
It's one thing to ridicule someone. It's another thing to ridicule them in this moment. Paul broke up with her because he and Micah want to be together. And Micah was like, you need to break up with her right away, which on one level I kind of get, because Paul and Micah wanted to be together. And Paul was a little hesitant, and Micah's like, no, you got to do it, because at the very least, you would say, you know, you got to let her off the hook. You got to give her more time. Maybe she'll meet someone else. I don't think that's why Micah was saying it, but who knows? So there's nothing wrong with wanting your partner to end relationships with other people if you're monogamous. But the way she went about it, and then, of course, when it happens, she's crying, and Micah, you've won. You won the game. You got the guy. And yet, you still feel the need, while she's in the depths of her pain. You could say because of you. It's not Micah's fault, right? But it's related to you. You would think that at the very least you wouldn't do this. And at best you'd be like, hey, Amber, I'm really sorry. I feel bad. Instead, you do this. Oh, wow. I mean, the amount of empathy, the amount of mentalization, the amount of decorum and politeness and humanness that you would have to either not possess or surpass to even, you couldn't pay me enough money to do this. You couldn't give me, if you said, okay, I want to give you $1 billion to go on a reality TV show. Well, honestly, I might, because then I would spend it for good, like charity. But if, so that kind of messes. But, within reason, you just couldn't get me to do it. I would act like I was doing it, but I wouldn't be able to pull it off because I wouldn't be able to be genuine. I mean, the amount of issues that you would have that would either make it so you don't have the empathy, you don't care, you don't notice other people's feelings, or the amount of issues that would impair that ability is notable.
Fucking idiot, because I believed you. When's it gonna be my turn?
I know.
How many times do you see I have to be broken?
God. Now, of course, Paul might be thinking, well, I guess maybe it's a good thing that things didn't work. Now, I want to be clear. I'm not diagnosing them. I don't want anyone to bully them. Even watching this, it's immoral to bully them. So people say, like, well, if they're going to bully Amber and other people, then no, two wrongs don't make a right. Someone punches someone on the playground, that doesn't give you the right to go and punch that person. We all understand that, right? So it's not okay to bully them. It's not okay to go to their DMs and tell them that they need to go to therapy or something. It's just not okay, because the transgression, one, is arguably not on us. It's between Amber and Micah and Irina and Chelsea and all those people. So if they'll work it out in the way that they want to work it out, one. Two, even if they had transgressed upon us in this way, it pales in comparison to the things that people do in the world that are horrible, that might actually deserve a mob to attack them. So this is not that. I just want to be clear. I keep saying that because I keep seeing actual bullying happening to them, honestly, which is immoral. It's wrong. The very people that are bullying them, you're worse than them because you're not even involved. The people that are bullying them, they didn't even do anything to you. Now, I understand if you were bullied by people like this, it would trigger, but that's a trigger. That's not them. If you have an issue, go to the people who bullied you. Don't go to them. Plus, yeah, I've been over that.
Instead of just telling me what I wanted to hear, because now I feel like a fucking idiot because I believed you. When's it gonna be my turn?
I know.
How many times do you see I have to be broken,
And she's saying, how many times does your heart have to be broken? And she's crying, and you're just laughing. You're just laughing. And I've talked all about the hypotheses. There's many that would explain this, but nothing that justifies it.
Figures that, abort. I just feel so bad that I hurt him.
It's crazy. You didn't do anything wrong. You are. How to use the restroom? Supposed to be doing.
This one is less cringy to me because I don't know if Jackie necessarily notices. I also don't know if in this moment they're smiling as a way of making fun of Jack, although I think they were. I don't know. This one is a far cry from that other scene that we watched.
Shit's popping up. Wait.
Thank you for coming.
Hey.
What was it like watching that? Watching it unfold when you were watching this season?
Sorry, just need a minute.
the audience is kind of booing and laughing, which it's like I was worried about that. There was some indication that the audience would do stuff like that and provide, I think, a typical internet response. It's yeah. So let's see what she says, but she seems emotionally affected by it, and her online apology alluded to a human behind all those behaviors, someone who has the capacity to care and has the capacity for shame. And I talked about it in that video that shame is actually a good thing when it's applied accurately and in a helpful way. Shame is almost always applied in an unhelpful and irrational way. For example, people being ashamed of having acne. People should not feel shame about having something that they don't have any control over. Plus, it's not harming anyone. But if you harm someone else knowingly, I mean, it'd be hard for them to say, I didn't know it was going to hurt anyone's feelings. If you knowingly do things, or at least put people at risk for no reason, you should feel some shame. You shouldn't hate yourself, but you should feel like, ugh, that wasn't good. So I think she's capable of that, and I wish the audience would just stay out of it.
I think that throughout this, watching that back was really difficult. It was in multiple parts, and it was a lot with like Zach and with the way things went out with the girls in the lounge as well. I feel like I really came into it in like a selfish perspective of like.
Okay, a good start. A selfish perspective. That's promising. Let's hear some more.
Like it was just me on the show. Like it was just me. It was what I was going through and what no one else was kind of going around. What was no one else experiencing. Great.
Okay, and an elaboration on the word selfish. I've heard a lot of apologies on these reality TV shows, and this already is starting. Her Instagram apology also held promise. I couldn't know what she meant by it, and I don't really know what she means by this. Could she be acting? Yeah, but I find that people, when it's not within them to really apologize, I think they actually won't. You know, because there's so many examples of famous people and people on these shows who would actually tremendously benefit from actually just giving a half-assed apology, and yet they still won't do it because the reason why they did the thing in the first place is because there's something going on with them that created that behavior, and thus it's hard for them to apologize because of the same problem, right? So this is going well.
Or anyone but my impact did. And it wasn't only seeing like the girls I hurt, which I will say, like I privately apologized to all of them. But I think it was just deeper than that. I think it was seeing people that were bullied too, and them rewatching that and then feeling the pain that they felt.
Okay, that's good. So she, I think, is saying, I'm watching people get bullied by me, and I feel the pain that they've been through. So that's good. She's also reiterating what she said on Instagram, that she apologized to everyone privately, which we don't know what those apologies look like. But given what she's saying, it sounds like it possibly was sufficient. So this is going well so far. I don't know. It's possible that this is all just surface talk, but I don't know. It doesn't sound like it to me. And it seems genuine, but it could be fake. What do you think?
To all of them, but I think it was just deeper than that. I think it was seeing people that were bullied too, and them rewatching that and then feeling the pain that they felt when they were growing up and in those experiences. So I think I'm going through it, all of it, and just experiencing.
Okay, I'm a little lost. She said watching people having been bullied. Is she talking about herself, or is she talking about other cast members who had been bullied before, or is she talking about how she had bullied? I don't know. What did you think she's saying?
I'm going through it, all of it, and just experiencing and thinking about everything that happened. And I know that's not the person that I want to be, and that I'm not. And it's painful that that's the image I'm left with on my 3 weeks of this journey.
Okay, so when I think she said that in her apology as well, like, that's not me. And when I hear that, I have questions. Are you saying that that's not who you want to be? Because the you did that. No one forced you. No one, influenced you. I mean, you could say that there were factors, but there were many opportunities to not do what you did. I mean, even if you argue like, well, maybe Micah was trying to get her to do things, there were many options available to Irina where she could have played along without also doing things as well. So there's a question there. So is she just trying to deny, or is she not really aware of herself? Because I'm going to take a guess and say that given what we saw, there were so many behaviors, and I'm just going to take a guess and say that we were only shown some of it. I don't know. But even if it was the entirety of it, it's pretty awful. And like I said, the amount of personality differences that you would have to have in order to have that behavior is significant. And it's not just like, oops, I made a mistake. It's clearly something going on, right? So if she's saying that that's not me and it was circumstantial, it's possible. But I'd be much more encouraged if she said something like, I have a problem and it doesn't usually come out. There was something stressful about that moment where it came out. It's an old me or a person that I used to be or something. And seeing it mirrored back to me was pretty awful. But I want to tell everyone, I'm not normally like that. But I do have that in me. If I heard that, that would be more encouraging. But hearing her say that's not me, I'm like, well, then who was it?
We talked so much about everything that happened. Like, he told me every little detail. So I was prepared to see it, but I wasn't. I was very shocked, honestly. And I was super disappointed. And I just really hope that you grow from this. It's sad to see someone so wonderful be treated so poorly. And I just hope that you can grow.
Okay. I mean, this one is, at least to me, less of an issue. For Irina, I think it's definitely possible that she did have feelings for Zach. It's also possible she didn't, but I think it's possible she did, at least in her way. And then when she met him, she just didn't feel it. She felt the ick. And I think that happens to a lot of people, and I think Irina is just the sort of person that will say it. I think a lot of people have that feeling. I don't know that, but I think that, and they just refrain from saying anything about it because they don't want to get bullied online by the mob that eventually, bullied Irina. So the fact that all played out is, I just think, less problematic. I mean, there are issues in the pods where there was competition between her and Bliss, and those weren't pleasant moments, of course, and Bliss can have an issue with that. But the way she treated Zach, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different ways she could have done it differently. When she first met him, she didn't have to be as insulting, right? She could just be like, oh my God, this is overwhelming. Could we just sit down for a second? Instead of like, you're creepy. Stop looking at me. You're a cartoon character. You're creepy. What's wrong with you? I'm exaggerating a little bit, but it was literally what she said. And then there were other moments where she was pretty standoffish, the pillow on the face, pretty disrespectful. You could argue that an immature part of her came out in that moment. So, yeah, I don't think, on the scale of things, I wouldn't say that Zach was this massive victim of Irina from my point of view watching the show. I would just say that if Irina was different in the pods and it played out maybe a little differently at the honeymoon where she just wasn't into Zach, I think everyone would have a different narrative about it in terms of the way she treated Zach. But, yeah. I mean, if anything, Irina was really, in a different way for the show, very mature and very altruistic by breaking up, by being very clear with Zach. Other people on the show, I think they selfishly, think Bartise, at least that's the allegation, that he could have helped Nancy to end it earlier, but made it go all the way to the altar, and also gave Nancy a lot of reasons to believe that he was going to say yes and that they were going to spend the rest of their lives together. And that's why all the family of Nancy showed up, and that's why I think they were all pretty shocked. So, I'm not saying Irina was this saint in Mexico, but I don't resonate with this is sort of the pinnacle of the problem of Irina. I think the pinnacle, to me anyway, was the behavior in the pods.
I hope that you grow from this. It's sad to see someone so wonderful be treated so poorly. And I just hope that you can grow.
And then the crowd, I don't know. I mean, why didn't they clap after she apologized? Because that's also a good thing. I'm not a fan of the crowd. Just not a fan. It's almost like we're bringing the bad elements of the internet into the room with them. And I have to like hear it. I usually avoid it because I'm just, I don't know. There's nothing wrong with applauding Bliss. She didn't do anything wrong, and she could have said a lot worse things. And she's saying, "I hope you grow." So, yeah, and Bliss didn't say anything bad, but I don't know. It just feels like the crowd is just like, "Yeah, Irina's evil. She needs to be put in her place." I'm pretty sure she has been put very low, even just by watching the show. Even if she had no idea what people thought of her, which of course she has an abundance of at this point, particularly in this moment as the crowd is jeering at her. I'm guessing that even if she just watched the show, she would have been mortified. She's just like, oh my God, what is that? So, we don't need to pile on.
Zach, do you think that Irina ever took your relationship seriously?
No.
I would love to speak on that if I can. It really hurts to hear Zach say that.
Yeah, we don't know, but I suspect that there was some feelings there, if not full-blown feelings, in the pods. And we don't know what Zach means by him saying no. It's possible that no means, well, she didn't try hard enough in Mexico, but maybe she didn't want to. But she could have tried harder because she didn't put any effort, and we saw that. Or is Zach saying she basically just decided to screw me over or something? Like, I don't know what Zach meant by that, but I'm guessing that Irina is going to say, no, I did have feelings. I just, for whatever, I'll be curious as to what narrative she has or what narrative she'll put forward about why she had the ick, as she put it. All right, well, that does it for that episode, everyone. Please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.